You'll notice it's very quiet and calm in the barn. Typically, happy cows aren't making a lot of noise.
David Berning is a fourth-generation dairy farmer at Green Waves Farm. Coming back to the farm after college was his choice.
In any job, you have to really like what you're doing, and especially with dairy cows, my life revolves around these cows.
Dairy farming is a round-the-clock business. Once at 220 cows, Berning and his family had to milk them in 4-hour shifts at 4:30 in the morning and again at 3:30 in the afternoon. They couldn't do it all alone, and finding consistent help was a never-ending problem.
The biggest thing about dairy farming is finding people that want to work. On a minimum, I'm working 75 hours a week. I work on weekends, I work on holidays. How many people find that appealing? And if they don't like the job, they're not going to be here very long.
Enter in the robots. The Bernings have 8 robotic dairy milkers. The cows enter the stalls themselves. Cameras and sensors locate and attach to the teats. The robots then pump the milk. Each robot can service 60 cows. And because the cows wear collars that monitor like Fitbits, the robots know when each cow is ready to milk and if they're having problems.
On average, they visit the robot about 3 times a day for milking. And if they try to go in too soon, then they're refused. So in total, each cow visits about 5 times a day and gets milked 3 times a day.
The robots let Berning focus on other things, like the health of his animals. But these automated milkers are pricey, running upwards of $200,000 apiece. That can be a high-stakes gamble for a smaller farm. But without the robots, the Bernings wouldn't have been able to double their herd. And with today's low milk prices and decreased demand, going bigger can mean survival. Carlson Dairy in Almanac has moved to robots in a big way. Carl and Chad Carlson are also fourth-generation dairy farmers. Both brothers grew up helping out on the farm, and that work ethic carried forward to their collegiate wrestling careers.
We were always the last ones to leave the wrestling room, doing the extra sprints, the extra push-ups, the extra pull-ups, because, if we did extra, we were going to be up on, one up on our opponents.
And the other thing, the longer we stayed at practice, the less time we had to be here and had to work, so.
Putting in long hours used to be enough, but the Carlsons are dealing with new cost pressures and an aging workforce.
Minimum wage is increasing, it's getting a lot more expensive to have employees, and the more employees you have, it hurts your bottom line, and a lot of people don't want to do this type of work either.
2 years ago, the Carlsons put in a rotating robotic milking carousel. It fits 60 cows at a time. It's the only one in the state and one of less than 10 nationwide.
Kind of like a merry-go-round at the fair. It's relaxing. They want to get on there, and they're on it for about 8 minutes, 3 times a day, and they seem like they really enjoy it.
Instead of back-breaking repetitive motion, workers assist the robots. Once the cows adapt, it's a consistent experience. The carousel has helped them expand, now up to 1,700 milking cows.
So like this cow right here is almost done. She's reached 99.3% of her milk. You see that in the center here?
Yeah.
The tech gives them real-time data and improves efficiency. All things the Carlsons believe they need to get an edge.
I don't think that this is for everybody. It's kind of what fits you and what you feel comfortable with.
The farms I'm most worried about over the next couple of years are maybe those mid-sized farms where they're really too big for a family to manage, so they have to have hired labor, but they're really not quite big enough to capture some of the advantages of scale.
Robotic milking first started in Europe. Now 10 to 15% of all dairy farms in the state have some robots. Salfer says automation is a way for more farms to stay viable.
When you consider 10 years ago we had 0, it's really growing rapidly.
This would be her last few days. She had another spike 11 days ago.
Did you ever think dairy farming was going to look like this?
No, and my question is how much further are we going to go?
Carlson Dairy has come a long way in the 80 years since their dad Courtney was born. Back then, there were only 8 cows. Now robots seem here to stay.
How does it make you feel?
Proud, yeah.
I'm glad the next generation, my grandkids, most of them seem interested. And if they don't, there's a lot of other things to do, but it'd be nice if a couple of them would come back and keep it going anyway. They've made me proud so far.